Hey Tommies! If you haven't met me, I'm Meg and I'm a senior at St. Thomas. I'm currently studying in Manchester, England, but I'm very excited to meet all of you when I return in December. So come to TCX because I'm going to be there. John just asked me to make a short video for you to talk about why you should consider going on an international summer project. This summer, I traveled with crew to Montpellier, France on summer project. Going to France as a missionary is not something I ever expected to do. 3 years ago, I wasn't even a Christian. But last fall, I was spending time with God in prayer, and I told him that I would go wherever he asked me to. Over the next few months, God really opened up my eyes to the need for the gospel in Europe. At Fall Retreat, I learned that France is only 2% Christian, and that 90% of French people consider themselves to be atheist. French people rely on logic and are extremely intelligent, but they can be very close-minded when it comes to faith. France kept coming up in my thoughts and my prayers, and I knew God was calling me to go. I spent the spring fundraising and praying, asking God to help me prepare for this mission to France. In May, I had one extremely crazy week where I had to finish finals, finish raising financial support, move out of my apartment, and pack for France. At the end of that week, I was exhausted, but I got on a plane and headed to a country I had never been before that spoke a language that I didn't speak. In the description to this video, I put a link to the blog that I had while I was in France. So if you're interested in what I felt and what God taught me in more detail, it will be there. But here are a few of the basics. Global missions teaches you humility and compassion in ways that you would never expect. I was extremely stretched as I ventured out and had to admit to others that I had no idea how to communicate and that I needed help. It also showed me how loving and helpful people can be when you have the courage to ask. But France also broke my heart. Almost every student I spoke with told me that there was no God, and that God was a crutch that people used when they were not smart enough to understand science. Some days I would be very frustrated, as I could see the pain in their voice, the helplessness in their eyes, and you just want them to know the truth that you know. Accepting Christ is an extremely long process for a French student, and it takes a lot of conversation and deliberate study. The French Christians I did meet told me stories of years of searching before they became Christians. They understand that becoming a Christian is a major life change, and they want to be absolutely sure it's the truth before they make that change. Evangelism in France is about making relationships. Our days would go a little bit like this. We would wake up in the morning and have some sort of prayer or group meeting. And before lunch, we would break off into pairs and we would head to campus. Once we got to campus, we would grab something to eat and start approaching students. We often use Solarium cards to get conversations started, but once you have a French student talking, it doesn't take a whole lot to have them continue. It was from these conversations that we would make friends and ask them to meet with us again. Here's just one story of a friend that I made while I was in France. Noelle is a half French, half Canadian archaeology student working on her master's degree. She smokes like a pipe and she loves to laugh. I met her through another friend, but the two of us clicked instantly. When she found out that I and my two male friends were Christians, her first comment to us was, "So you don't have sex?" I laughed and the guys turned red. But I told her honestly what I thought about marriage, and we started a relationship that was based on honesty and respect. After that first meeting, we were texting almost every day, and she came to everything that I invited her to. It was obvious that she was drawn to us, and that she knew that there was something different about the people I spent time with, and she wanted to know more. The last night, we threw a little party at the hotel we were staying at. She came, and that night she started asking me a lot of questions. I had told her the gospel before, but that evening I was able to tell her 2 more times, and I was able to explain why I personally believed in a God who loved us so much that he died for us. Even though I only had a few weeks to get to know Noelle, I know that this is a relationship that I will never forget. Although she's not a Christian today, I know I have planted the idea in her head, and that one day she might want to explore it further. My heart grew so much over the summer as I started to see the people the way the Lord sees them. He sees them as precious children who deserve love and grace. I feel like this needs a little bit of scripture to be a real Cru video, so here's something that spoke to me this summer. In Matthew, when Jesus was traveling through the countryside, he saw disease and suffering, and it says, "When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he turned to his disciples and he said, 'The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few.'" The workers are few. I'm asking if you would consider being one of God's workers this summer and with the rest of your life. Consider going on a global mission or on a summer project with Cru. You only have 4 summers in your college years, so use them to expand God's kingdom in your way. Thank you guys for sitting and listening to me, even though you were forced to. I hope that I educated you a little bit on global missions, and I just can't wait to meet you next month. Bye!